Hello, I'm Florent Boston, a concept and background artist in the video game and animation industries. Welcome to this fourth part of the series Create a Narrative Environment Painting. This part will be dedicated to the creation of the 3D base before the paint over. Before letting you see the process, let me explain how I create my 3D bases with a simple example. First, I create a plane for the ground, and I import a character that will allow me to have consistent proportions and to do my framing. I model the different elements. Here I make some rocks just for the example. I will immediately assign materials to add local colors. Then I create a camera in my scene to do my framing. I can save several views thanks to the bookmark, frame with the framing, and so on. When it's finished, I move on to lighting and rendering with Arnold. I test different lights and different atmospheres. Once I'm happy with the result, I launch the rendering to have my image ready. Enjoy the process. Here, I directly work on the main element of the composition, which is the tower. As usual, I do not do the details, only the main shapes. I subdivide the polygon to have more control over the modeling, create hollows, make extrude, and so on. I save time using the chosen framing, concentrating mainly on the front face and a little on the left side because they are the focus of the composition. I do 3D only for the image, not hesitating to take distance and light. The goal is not to move in the scene with a character, nor to make an animation, so I do not take care of the optimization or the quality of my mesh. I quickly place local colors, which allows me to project myself and visualize the proportions. I am not a 3D artist, so it remains basic modeling. Moreover, as the 3D is very low poly, it creates marked faces and angles, which is interesting for my style. I don't hesitate to watch tutorials to learn new things, especially on the use of light and rendering. The tower is gradually taking shape, and the design is a little different from my concept to highlight the right elements in my framing. Of course, I'm taking this liberty because it's a personal project. If I worked with a studio, I would have to follow the design correctly. What I am doing here is placing a light blocker. It's like an invisible box that allows me to mask the light in certain places, as if a shadow was cast. Display rendering at this early stage allows me to see how the volumes react to the light. A quick reminder for the beginners. Even if you can make images using 3D, it is important to learn the fundamentals of drawing, such as perspective. I use it in my images because I find the process fun, but I continue to create 2D images in parallel. Speaking of this, the reason I use Maya is more a question of habit, to be honest. I could change and go to Blender, which is more suitable for concept, especially the fog management, which is great, but for my goal, Maya is enough. The material I add for the colors is a simple Lambert without any effect. I like it because it's pretty natural and doesn't have too much information, so it's easier for the paint over. You don't see it, but I always have my references displayed. I try to get closer to the colors I see in my mood board. Here, I imported elements that I already modeled in previous scenes, which will serve as a base, allowing me to save time. As you can see, I display the different cameras to get my final framing and place my elements accordingly. At this point, I make a lot of small adjustments by feeling. Sometimes there may be holes or elements that float, but I don't dwell on them. Everything will be modified. Now, it's time for my favorite step, lighting. I only have one screen, so I try to optimize my workspace as much as possible. On the right, I have Arnold's window with real-time rendering, and on the left, the workspace. This allows me to make color and modeling adjustments according to the final result. Generally, for the renderings, I try to have something fairly neutral for more control over Photoshop. You should not hesitate to unblock the shadows that are too dark using backlights or changing their color. I don't worry about the image in the sky because I will work on it in Photoshop. It's just there to bring the atmosphere. Be careful with the fog, which can sometimes crush all your values. You can render with and without fog and play with masks on Photoshop to have an in-between. And here is the result with these two renderings. For the final, it's time to paint over. See you in the next video and thanks for watching.